Welcome everyone to the Game Disc Podcast, where every week we discuss a specific video game, brand new, retro, or anything in between, and figure out if it's worth putting on our top 100 games of all time. I'm your host, Simon Esty, and I am joined by my co-host,
Noah Esty.
And today we are also joined by...
Mike.
So
Just
all three
Mike.
of us, just Mike. So today we are gonna talk about our game of the week is Alan Wake. We're gonna figure out if this game is worth putting on our top 100 games of all time. We've also got some news. It's a big week for news. But before we get to all of that, how are you guys doing? We'll start with Mike. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic because it has been quite the week for video games.
Yes. That's a mild way to put it.
It's been a week for video games.
Well, it's been a year.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
but specifically. But it has been a week. What about you, Noah? How are things in Nagoya?
Well, you already know how my week's going based upon a little game that came out today, but that's something I think we're going to talk a little bit about more later on.
Yeah, this is like a day that you've been waiting like 13 years for.
13.
And it's a day
wow,
that
the first game was 2010, wasn't it?
It
was.
was.
and he played it like pretty much
The
around the time
weekend
it
it
first
came
came
out.
out. Yeah, you
Okay,
played it
so-
like the... Okay, go ahead. You tell it. It's your game.
So I was hanging out with my buddy, and like a couple weeks before the game came out, I saw a preview on G4. So take
Oh,
that
man.
blast from the past. And it was like, oh, this game called Alan Wake, like anything can be out to hurt you. I was like, oh, like that sounds kind of interesting. So like the week it came out, me and my buddy, we were going over, and I was like, oh, like this game sounded kind of interesting. So we rented it, and we went the morning of that day. I stayed up, like, the game is about 10 hours long. I took probably a break for like lunch and dinner, but I beat that game in essentially one sitting. And I, like, a year or two later, I was like, I think Alan Wake might be my favorite game of all time. And then a couple years after that, they announced Quantum Break, and the lead writer for Remedy Games, Sam Lake, he made a video that was like, we know a lot of people were really excited for Alan Wake. Unfortunately, we don't have the budget to do it right now. So like, I'm really sorry about that. And so there was always this hope that was like, this is the game they want to make, but unfortunately they can't. So after the success of Control, they were finally able to release this game. So yeah, it's been 13 years in the making, but it's finally here.
That's been like a roller coaster for you, because there
That's
was like...
insane, man. I remember when that just came out.
Yeah, and it was like, I mean, for a while it was like, no, Alan Wake 2 is never happening. They moved on to Quantum Break. They moved on to, Control, but it's cool that Remedy's kind of got that.
They got to glow up, man.
Yeah, they're kind of cashing in that check, like, oh yeah, we can do whatever we want now, and the first thing we're going to do is Alan Wake 2.
Well, I feel like another thing, just real quick, I think that part of the thing too is Alan Wake 2 has been getting a lot of press, more than I feel like Quantum Break and Control did. And I think part of that reasoning is just Sam Lake is such a likable guy that people want to talk to him and like want to know what he's working on. Like, yeah, he's
Summer Game Fest, man. They had
him
him
all
on
the Keeley stuff.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. When you're buddy with Keeley, dude, you're set.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. He's just like this cool Finnish dude, and like I remember like
that
listening
haircut
to something.
He's
Exactly,
a handsome man.
Yeah,
it's
man.
ageless. And I feel like it's like I remember like something people were talking about. They're like, oh yeah, there's like a new this game came out, like all this. There's this Finnish dude who came up. He was really cool, and it's like I feel like it's just one of those guys where it's just he's a really likable guy, and that kind of gets people interested in him.
I had to put the picture up while we're talking about it too. I'm just like, damn, dude, it's out of control.
I mean,
he's like,
yeah, and but I could go on and on about Alan Wake.
You'll get your chance. You'll get to talk about Alan Wake.
There's going to be at least 2 podcasts where I get to talk about Alan Wake. maybe three if we want to.
We're not.
Maybe we three.
There will not
Yeah,
be unless you know what? If Alan, are you thinking of an Alan Wake 3 or are you thinking of American Nightmare?
American Nightmare.
We're not. No, I will promise
Okay,
you
but
that. I mean, I guess if I'm sick and you want to do that at some point, that you do that. I'm telling you, there's no way American Nightmare is
there
getting up.
is an American Nightmare reference in Alan Wake too.
Oh, I'm sure there
that,
is, but that doesn't make it good. Whatever. We're not. We're gonna be talking about Alan Wake enough. We've got to move on.
That's it for Alan Wake. The rest of it's over.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next week. But before we go into Alan Wake, nope, I'm cutting you off. I told you before we started. I was like, with 3 people, we're gonna go on forever. I'm cutting you off. We're talking about news. You will get your time to talk about Alan
10
Wake.
minutes in, he's been cut off already, man. No more drinking for you, dude.
We've been talking about Alan Wake for 6 minutes, and that's what this episode will be about, and that's fine. But it'd be okay if there was like 1 or 2 news stories, but there's not. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So we have to do that. So we're going into the news.
First news story. Hot new game came out today.
Can we just, before we get into news, can we just talk about like October 20th alone? Was just
I mean, we'll
get into it.
Yeah, we kind of did last week just because I mentioned that I picked up Spider-Man and Mario.
Oh, that was Friday. Yeah, that was
a
week ago. Wow.
And I believe the quote Simon said was, like it's a great day for gaming when a game gets a 90 on Metacritic and it's not the highest reviewed game that day.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
Bangers back to back.
Yeah, so let's get into the news. I think probably there wasn't like a big story this week, but there was just so many like small stories. So a couple of things. I think probably the biggest one is Xbox announced like a big restructuring. So I think that this is kind of in response to their final, I guess, buyout of Activision Blizzard.
I can't believe it finally happened.
Yeah,
I'm just glad.
That felt like it was forever, man.
And it was like a year and a half.
It was.
Yeah.
And just kept going.
Yep. So as the new kind of structure, Sarah Bond is now Xbox president for hardware and sales, so she'll kind of oversee the Xbox as a brand. It sounds like, and then Matt Booty is president of game content and studios. I think that one is mostly in response to like Redfall. Honestly, like because Phil Spencer said in like an interview, Redfall maybe needed a little bit more of like a guiding hand.
Yeah, you think?
I think they're giving it a guiding booty instead.
A guiding booty, yeah, dude. With a name like that, you got to be doing some sort of guidance here, man.
Yeah. So I think that his role is going to be making sure that they just bought Activision Blizzard. That was you don't want your $69 billion purchase to just pump out crap. So Booty's going to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah,
69 and Booty.
That was clever. I saw what you did there.
Haha.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's definitely like the right call. It's one of those things where, I feel like people like Xbox for the Game Pass, but I feel like that's kind of why they like it. So
yeah, that's not a very strong.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People like they like Game Pass. They don't really care about the Xbox. So maybe having somebody who knows what they're doing and can really like focus and make sure that Xbox can get some more killer apps. That's definitely the right
because
call.
like PC Game Pass is killing it. Like people are buying it like on PC a lot.
Well, and Microsoft is, I think, fine with that. Like they don't.
Yeah,
care.
they didn't
don't
seem
care.
pressed.
Yeah, they don't care if you buy an Xbox. They just want you kind of in their ecosystem. But you'll need exclusives, and when your exclusives are Redfall and even Starfield, I personally was disappointed in.
Hi-Fi Rush. I didn't finish Hi-Fi Rush, but it's fantastic from what I've played. It really gave me like that like Suda 51 almost kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
I really liked Hi-Fi Rush too. Hi-Fi Rush is like probably the best. I would say that's the best.
It was the best experience I've had on my Series X outside of Tunic, but Tunic you can buy anywhere.
Yeah. I think that I mean I personally really liked Halo Infinite, but I know a lot of people didn't. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush it's up there. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is a good call.
I had fun with Infinite for a time. I had my fun.
It's good. It was just not enough content, not enough support. But it's I think the bones are good. But yeah, so hopefully this is kind of the start. I think Xbox has a really good year coming up.
I was actually going to bring that point up. I was like, they have a stacked like house of cards right now.
Yeah.
Like honestly, they really do have the momentum. Like they can get the momentum especially with the buyout recently. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, you toss on my brother and I talked about last week, you get that Activision catalog on Game Pass. That's just a lot of goodwill. We joked about
Crash Bandicoot.
Well, we joked
Spyro.
about what if Xbox was able to get Spider-Man 2, the movie, the game, onto Game Pass the day before Insomniac Spider-Man 2 came out, because that's an Activision game. So I mean,
we talked about the OG, right?
Yeah,
like game
Spider-Man the movie, the Spider-Man 2 the movie, the game.
The movie, the game.
So I mean,
chef's kiss.
But even outside of that, like you've got. I personally think Clockwork Revolution looked really cool.
I forgot about that. That was at cool. Summer Game Fest, right?
Yeah, it was Microsoft's like weird little summer thing.
I remember. Yeah, because they did that whole like Starfield. It was like a 45-minute presentation afterwards.
Yeah, so they did the first half, which was all new stuff, and then the second half was just Starfield.
They showed Fable, and I think that
I forgot about Fable. Yeah, so I think we've got a lot of stuff coming up. I think that they can have a good year as long as they can make sure that these these swings are hits. So
the 30 studios that they bought and talked about for the past 5 years will hopefully release a game.
Yeah.
I was joking with my roommate the other day. We do a skit where we like to be Phil Spencer, and we do the whole hands thing where it's like,
we all.
Hold on,
guys,
wait a second.
Today I'm excited to announce the announcement. Like this, we're excited to announce studios working on games, but we'll never release them.
Yeah, like Perfect Dark.
You said you'd do this skit. Is it like you uploaded something, or is it just one of you sits on the couch and the other person?
Oh no, this is like our show. This is a morning ritual. Just like we get our coffee, we're hanging out in the kitchen, and I'm just like, I belt out a Phil Spencer. That's it, unprovoked.
It's like living with him. That'd be great. Maybe.
Oh yeah, this is what happens when you're dorks, man.
To be clear, I've never seen you in a room at the same time as Phil Spencer. So
I'm not
saying you are him, but I'm not saying you're not.
I've received a few emails. I know the scoop on 2024. That's why I'm telling you it's going to be a stacked year.
Well, if you received a few emails, maybe you received mine, because after last week's podcast, we talked about getting him on. So maybe you were the recipient of that email I sent. I'm like, hey, Phil, want to come on to our podcast?
Oh, yeah. Last week we did joke about having Phil Spencer on. And then this week
so I guess that's why you're here.
That's kind of funny.
Ooh. Perhaps.
All right. Speaking of companies that put out games, Nintendo has added a lot of new rules for tournaments. I think
I heard about it. I have not seen the specifics.
Yeah. This seems mostly like in a response to Smash Bros. Kind of the big
Smash Bros tournaments are always getting. Sorry to cut you off. I was just like, as somebody who's been heavily involved in the Smash Brothers scene, well, it used to be very heavily involved. It's like year after year, they just get worse.
Yeah, and I think that might be maybe why Nintendo wants to almost nip it in the bud. So here's some of the big points are: you cannot have more than 200 people in an in-person tournament, 300 for online.
What?
You can't have third-party accessories, so no like fight pads or anything like that. And then the max prize is $10,000 per year. So yeah, a lot of people are pretty upset about this, because it's like, well, if I have 210 people, like my tournament isn't legit, and a lot of people with disabilities are like, so I can't use my like custom pad that I literally need to use to play. So a lot of people are upset. I mean, the Smash community has been like, it is problematic. So I don't necessarily fault Nintendo for wanting to nip it, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
It's a shame. It's such a shame, man.
No, you're big into fighting games. What's your kind of take on it?
Yeah, so Nintendo Smash Bros is in a very unique position. So something that we really saw with the last generation in fighting games is they appealed so much to the hardcore crowd. They completely forgot about the casual players. And
Hmm.
so the best example is Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 came out, really fun game, had a great training mode and such, but there was so few content, people just made fun of it. And Nintendo's interesting because they're the opposite. They're like, if you want to do this, okay, but this is a party game first and foremost. And so for
That's
that
very
reason,
smart from a marketing standpoint also.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I mean and that's the thing, like Smash Bros Ultimate is like the greatest selling fighting game of all time.
And it's still in the
They
top 10, I'm pretty sure, like on
yeah,
Switch sales. It has to be.
Oh yeah, it's like
yeah,
top 5, I
and
think. It's
it's
like
like
yeah,
and that's the
That
thing,
game's
it's
ridiculous. It's
you
ridiculous.
those people
might be
aren't
3.
playing the game. They're not going to tournaments. They're just playing it. Like maybe they get home from work, their kids playing it. Like, oh, okay, I'll play a couple rounds. Or that's who it
They're
is. It's for
weirdos like me.
casuals. Exactly. And so for that reason, like Nintendo, they don't want this big like professional like scene because that can be very intimidating. A
They
lot of
kind of,
people
yeah.
like a
Go
lot of
ahead.
people play fighting games or like don't play fighting games because they're like, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to be good." Whereas Smash Bros they are doing the opposite. And so it's one of those things where it's like it sucks because it sucks that you can make money doing something you're passionate about.
Hmm.
But I think that by the end of the day, like that is something that you have to understand is this is a company and the bet people are saying the best thing Nintendo ever did was just ignore the competitive scene. But unfortunately, because there's been some problems, I think that Nintendo got really angry at some of the like
Well, they
bad
got
things that some of the
Yeah,
nervous.
there
people
was like the Captain
exactly.
Zack thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of things. Nairo, I think Nairo's name was cleared though, but then there was Zero. There
Yeah.
was just a
It's
whole smash, like I don't even know what you want to call it, like reckoning almost from within.
and and Nintendo, it makes sense that Nintendo's such a family-friendly company. They just don't want anything like that associated. So I think that's why they are making all these rules. But
Hmm.
of course, there's big problem for me is like overstepping. Like I understand them trying to separate it, but I think that something like Simon mentioned third-party controllers, so now like gamers with disabilities, um, they can use like a custom like controller to help them out. Um, Stuff like that can be very harmful um, to them.
That's not
But
going to look good on their image either, because
no,
you're going to deny, yeah, somebody with a disability. You're going to deny their barrier of entry. You know, that's not going to look good for you either.
it's well, it's Nintendo's plan. They're slowly going to just make their way and get rid of all the Smash
I
tournaments.
mean,
Here's the thing with
that
Smash
is
Brothers. I won't talk too much longer because I
Yeah,
know that's a tangent, but like the thing with
yeah.
Smash Brothers is they kind of opened Pandora's box with that series because you have all this tech. Obviously, the nerdy basement dweller types, including
Yep.
myself at one point,
Yep.
were just doing wave shining and wave dashing and, all the sorts of dashing. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
mean, even Smash Ultimate, like I'm a Joker main and I do the
Mhm.
gun slide and everything. Like we're just finding out all this crazy tech. And then
Mhm.
you have all these crazy items and stages with hazards. So it's like, you really can play that game however you want. It's really
Mhm.
kind of a unique game where you can do that, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. Like Maximilian Dude,
Oh my
very
god, I love him.
noteworthy Twitch streamer. He plays a lot of fighting games. He actually says that he prefers Smash Bros. All items for people just because like he feels like that's the way the game is meant to be
Oh,
played. So
it's
that's why he does.
fantastic.
yeah.
It's
I'm not.
it's fantastic
Don't
with the
necessarily
items and
disagree with
assist
that.
trophies
Yeah.
and all of it.
Yeah, and it's
Coming
uh
from somebody who used to be like in the competitive Smash scene, 1v1s, all that stuff.
yeah, and I mean it's always like it's one of those things where it's like it's unfortunate like how this does add to a level of uncertainty,
Mhm.
but something that is certain. Simon, would you like to finish that thought?
Something that is certain. Well, I don't think this is. They say it is, but I don't think it is. Ubisoft is promising that Skull and Bones will come out before March 2024.
No
I
way.
I don't think this is happening. Also, before we get into this, I do want to say thank you for that like long Smash talk. My dog was actually going like ballistic like that entire time. So I just muted myself and was like running around the living room trying to like calm her down, and
Your
I was like,
dog
"Come
got
back."
excited.
Yeah,
Smash Brothers is always an
Yeah.
exciting topic, and that's
she's just really upset about it. She's part of the
Yeah.
toxic Smash community.
I mean,
So-
I
well,
thought you were gonna
Simon,
say
hold
like
on.
she's upset about something
Well,
else, but no,
No, she's
Well,
upset.
She
hold
took
on,
this.
Simon,
This
real
was
quick.
personal.
Yeah.
When was her last bath? When did you give her a bath last?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yep. Okay, there she is. There it is.
The closest thing. Yeah, it's been like 2 months.
She got
I don't
that
think- I
Smash
don't think I've
Brothers player
ever-
stank.
Well, there's people. Real quick, one last thing. There are people who are saying that like being poor, like hygiene, is the hidden tech of the Smash Bros community because you smell so bad, your opponent can't concentrate on the game.
I
I
have a
believe it.
story. I don't know if it's. I don't want to get onto a crazy tangent though, but
Yeah.
I do have a Smash Ultimate demo story. I could share it another
Yeah, go.
time maybe.
No, tell it now, and then we'll move on to Ubisoft lying about Skull and Bones coming out.
When I went, for those of you that don't know, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Delaware specifically, but I had went with my two friends at the time, and now we're roommates and friends. But we went to a demo event for Smash Ultimate, and some of the people I saw online, man, I'm not trying to throw shade, but I think you guys know where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah,
Stereotypical. I mean, stains on the sweatpants, belly hanging out. Like it was rough, dude.
those are the people you gotta watch
and
out
that's
for. Though.
I'm not even the smell. Like, yeah, I was like, damn it, dude. This is supposed to be an internet joke. It's not supposed to be reality.
No, I worked at a comic store for
Oh, no.
2 years, so
That's all you had to say.
yeah,
Dude,
it's
I worked at a comic store. End of sentence.
yeah. I mean, I think a majority of them are, but it is it's like anything else. Anyway, Skull and Bones supposedly coming out before March 2024. I don't have much to say about this except for bullshit.
Yeah, that's. I heard Skull and Bones. I was like, what?
Okay.
You
So-
could have told me Skull and Bones came out this year, and I would have believed you.
So
Like-
Yeah, in a sea of games that have just it's a sea of games is
You
one.
know what? Want to hear something wild? You know what game came out this year?
What's that?
what?
Forspoken.
It. I'm trying to think of a joke, but I can't even. It's
Nothing's
just-
funny. You can't make a joke better than that game.
We don't speak about
So,
Forspoken.
So real quick though, this is the thing. So I believe recently so Star Citizen they announced Squadron 42,
Oh, yeah,
which
speaking
is
of
the
other games
single.
that will never come out.
Yeah. They announced Squadron 42 is feature complete, which is the single player version of Star Citizen. So, what do you think will come out first? Star Citizen or Skull and Bones?
Oh, Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones will come out one day because like they are legally obligated by the government of Singapore to
Singapore.
put
It
it
looked
out.
crazy, man. I remember that. What was that? Like 2017?
They announced
had
it in
to be.
2017, and then they've just kept like pushing it back. But yeah, they
Yeah,
took
which-
money from the government of Singapore, so they literally have to put
Yo,
out this
they
game.
better
Yeah.
release
Like
that.
no, like they are like legally obligated to, but I think that they just can't figure out a way to make it work, and they don't know what to do. But at this point, it's like just put it out. Like just
Yeah.
it's. I don't think it'll ever gonna. It's
Just
never
do
gonna
Black
be in a,
Flag, but better. Black Flag was fantastic.
That's what people
Mhm.
wanted. That's what they should have done. But at this point, it's too late to like. You can't just add Black Flag. At that point, you're making a whole
No.
new game. So it's like just
Yeah.
put out this one and then start working on Skull and Bones 2 and do what everybody wanted
they
you
saw
to do
Sea
the
of
first time.
I
Thieves.
don't even think just work on Skull and Bones too. Just release the game and be done with it, so it's something they never have to worry about again.
Because I mean, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter if you release
Yeah.
it this year, next year, 2 years from now.
You know what?
it's not going to sell.
It's fine. Just Ubisoft cancel Skull and Bones and tell
can't.
Singapore you want to make a new Rayman because it's about damn time.
Yeah.
We used your money for Rayman, and Singapore would be like,
Please.
we don't know
Well,
what this is. We know
Have you
boats.
guys seen? There's some anime called Bloodhawk or Laserhawk,
Blood
whatever.
Dragon.
Blood Dragon, yeah.
Blood
Yeah.
Dragon remix.
Dude, did you guys see the Rayman clips from that?
No, because
No,
I'm
but
planning
I
on
heard about
watching
it.
all of
I won't
it.
even. I won't even spoil it for you. Then
Yeah.
it's next level.
Because yeah,
I've heard that show is good. Did you ever play? Noah, you played Blood Dragon, didn't you?
yeah, Blood Dragon was great.
I played a few minutes at a friend's house when it came out because I've never sat through a Far Cry.
You should play Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon is.
I love 80s stuff like that, like that synth wave.
Yeah. He's like, do you know him? Of course. I served with him back in Vietnam too.
It is such like it is a game that knows it's stupid and it leans into it, and it's so much better for it. It's such a good game, but it's also got it was built off of Far Cry 3, which is the best Far Cry.
It was DLC, right? Blood
It
Dragon, or was it a standalone?
It was like Miles. Game. Yeah, it's kind of like Miles Morales, like its own standalone thing, but it used all the same systems, so it plays insanely good. But it's also got just such a good sense of humor. It's fantastic. Definitely
I'll have to get to it one day.
Do it. It's
when I retire.
Yeah, seriously. No, knowing your sense of humor, you'll find it hilarious. It's a good time.
I look forward to it.
Speaking of a good time, Capcom's having a pretty good time because they had a record year with sales rising 53% to just under $500 million, thanks to, they said, primarily Street Fighter 6, which has
we already know the next one. Drum roll. RE4, baby.
Yeah, so Street Fighter 6 has sold 2.5 million, roughly 2.47 million.
Good. That game's fantastic, and I'm really glad that Street Fighter's in people's good graces again.
Yeah, they said that's mostly for why they think they had such a good year. But Mike, you're right. RE4 has sold 5.5 million. I'm really happy about that.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I feel like that game, it came out and it's got like an absurdly high Metacritic, but nobody's talking about it anymore. And I think that's pretty sad.
Dude.
I mean, to be fair, it's such a great year for gaming that unfortunately, like, a remake is just going to kind of
but it's not just, but I feel
even
like
Dead Space, I think, is even less talked about.
Dead Space is less talked about.
I know you guys had a podcast already, so, but
I do think RE4 is better than Dead Space. And that's why it's a bummer. I think RE4 is a better.
That's hard.
I think like RE4 is such a good game. RE4 is most likely in my top 5, but
of all time.
No. But it's hard.
Of the year.
Of the year. But it's probably like top
I know it's
20.
in a lot of people. It's in a lot of people's actual top 5s of all time.
I could see it. I mean, it's it's like there's not a whole lot of things I could complain about in that game.
Dude, the roundhouse kick takes out 10 zombies at once. That is fucking next level, dude.
He saw Chris punching the boulder and was like, "I'll do you one better."
Yeah.
I mean,
a couple of other tidbits from Capcom. Exoprimal sold over 1 million. That's pretty good for a game.
I actually do want to play that eventually.
I do too. I've heard it's like a good time with friends. Maybe
that'd be a fun one for the podcast. Maybe
that would be a fun one for the podcast. We'd all have to. I mean, I have an Xbox, so I can play.
I have an Xbox.
I don't have an Xbox. You don't have an Xbox. I need to buy one.
But or just wait till
I have everything.
It's got crossplay. Yeah, I think it's got crossplay. So maybe just wait till it drops. It should drop decently.
It'll be on sale next month for Black Friday. Easy.
Yeah, probably
$30. I see it. 30
I can see it. Another couple of good sales. Mega Man Battle Network Collection sold 1.4 million. Not surprised. Battle Network was kind of like forgotten about, so this is like the best way to play those games. I mean, at this point, the only one left is I think Mega Man Legends. It's the only collection they have to do.
They also need to do Star Force,
and Star
right?
Force, yeah, but I don't think people are really clamoring for Star Force because it was just a worse version of Battle Network.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then finally, this I found really surprising. Resident Evil 2 and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak both sold an additional 1 million units just this year.
Wow, RE2 really remake this year?
RE2 sold 1 million copies this year.
Good. The more people that play that, the better.
That's why I put it on this list. I felt the same way. I was like, "Yep, I'm surprised."
Fantastic news.
Well, I feel like, and also like the big one is Monster Hunter Rise. Like living in Japan, that game is huge here.
Yeah,
there are like people I talk to, and they're like, they don't really play many games, but Monster Hunter is like the game that they play. It's like, I don't really like play a lot of games. I don't really consider myself a gamer. Really like Monster Hunter though.
Nope. I mean, I'm glad though. Capcom deserves it.
They
I
do.
mean, Exoprimal's like
They've
the worst game they've put out, and even then, it's not like bad. It's just not
yeah, it's
as
like a
great as
7,
yeah. And
six point five
I'm
seven.
sure it's like a really good time with friends. So
Yeah.
I'd like to check it out sometime.
Good for them, man. Because honestly, it was really sad seeing the state of Capcom in the 2010s.
Oh,
Yeah, like
God.
Lost Planet and
I never played Azura's Wrath
Darkroid.
or Azora's Wrath, but
Mhm.
it looked great.
I heard
Yeah,
it's like
people like it.
the best anime video game.
It was the DLC that was a problem, though. People were pissed
Well, it was
about the
episodic,
DLC
yeah.
practices, and then
Yeah.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah,
Well, even
which,
Street Fighter 5 was real bad when it came out.
yeah.
Yeah,
was-
just bare bones. That was
Yeah.
its biggest problem, like
No, it
Noah
was-
said.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Capcom's just but I'm glad they turned it around. They also announced that they're working on the next generation of their RE engine, codenamed
Ooh,
Rex.
really?
Yeah, get it?
I
It's
didn't see that.
REX.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Rex, dude. That's badass.
Yeah,
And
pretty
Dragon's
good.
Dogma 2 is kind of the first game using some of these features.
I know people are
Yeah.
really excited for that. I've never played the first one.
They did a gameplay demo a month or so ago. Check it out. I wasn't really excited for the game until I saw that. I was like, oh, this looks rad. Did you watch it?
Okay, that's cool to hear because honestly, I was like, I don't doubt it's a good game. I was just like,
No,
I don't know.
Check out the Dragon's Dogma 2 gameplay, and you'll be like, oh, okay.
There's clearly a reason people are clamoring for it.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the impression I got from like the 10-minute demo I saw. It looks.
Oh wow, this was yesterday. Capcom with RE Engine.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was yesterday.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yep, they have Dragon's Dogma. I'll check it out eventually. Yep.
Cool. A company who is not doing as well, Blizzard, but they are making a blood-cooled PC.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Blizzard is having a contest where you can donate blood, and they'll put it in this TV or this PC, and it'll be blood cooled for Diablo, and one lucky winner will win this blood cooled PC. This is our feel bad story of the week.
That's like a down bad story of the week, man.
I don't really get it. What is it exactly?
So you know how you can have like a liquid cooled PC?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but instead of like liquid, it's blood.
Okay, PC World says, win this liquid-cooled Diablo 4 PC with human blood if players donate 666 quartz. That was from PC World. Okay.
All right. Cool. That's good job, Blizzard.
I totally forgot about Diablo 4. I keep telling myself I still want to pick it up because I really love Diablo 3. I haven't played the first two. I know 2, the remake, didn't get such good press. I don't know what was wrong with it though, but
I can't
4.
quite remember. I think it was like they tried to like put in like practices that like kind of like stuff that they do for like Diablo 3, like tried to expand the game, and I think it just kind of ruined it or like stuff like that. But I heard it was disappointing.
I mean, I've been so Diablo 4 is like my first like Diablo I've actually played.
interesting.
I've been enjoying it. I don't know.
It's just a solid dungeon crawler, right?
No real complaints from me, at least, but I don't know.
Well, I'll add it to the list one day.
Yeah.
That's how it goes now, man. I'll add it to the list.
Yeah. But yeah, just wanted to talk about the blood cooled PC because that's pretty gross.
That is pretty. Yeah, it's gnarly.
I would not trust that thing in my home, but to each their own. And then kind of our last piece of news. People went into the files of the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 that came out this week, and they found references to a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 that has Metal Gear Solid 4,
I was going to say Guns of the
Peace
Patriots.
Walker.
And you know what? I've never played. Actually, I've never beaten any except the first one, Metal Gear Solid on PS1.
Really?
Not the NES ones.
I've beaten all of them except for Peace Walker and 5.
I really want to get into it. It's just time. That's really my biggest problem right now.
I mean, I got into them when 4 came out, so
There you go.
I bought like the PS2 collection that was like everything up to this point, and I mean, all of them are fantastic. I think I just never got around to Peace Walker. Well, actually, that's not true. I actually owned Peace Walker, but then my PSP broke, so I never beat it. And then same with 5, I just never got around to it.
Yeah, 5. I know that was the one that kind of broke the camel's back. Or was the straw that broke the camel's back because the whole obviously the Kojima thing and yada yada yada.
That's why I never really got into it. I heard it doesn't have an ending, kind of. So I was like, I can't justify putting that much time into a game just to not see an ending. But
yeah, no, that sucks.
But Noah, I've got some bad news.
What's that?
I don't have a feel good story this week.
I do,
but I have a smell good story this week. Because Metal Gear Solid is getting an official cologne.
Oh, and that's great. And you know what's great about that? Because Snake is in Smash Bros, maybe that can solve the Smash Bros problem we talked about earlier.
Yeah, dude, that's probably why they're doing it.
Somebody's not gonna like that. You're making too much sense. Stop it.
The Smash community is revolting, and they're having a rough week. So yeah, this Metal Gear Solid is getting a cologne. It smells
Shadow
like
Moses.
Shadow Moses, which apparently Shadow Moses smells like myrrh, fir balsam, and patchouli with undertones of oak moss, cedarwood, amber, and musk.
That actually sounds good. I love.
Yeah, that's not what I imagined Shadow Moses would smell like, though.
I imagined much more smoke.
Yeah, I would have imagined like smoke and piss.
That like smoke, piss,
metal.
Like, yeah, metal, like a strong oily smell.
Yeah, but I guess not. I guess it's. Yeah, it smells pretty good.
You can't even get it in the States. It ships to UK.
It's probably got gasoline in it.
Oh god. Wow.
Well, I know what if it's in Japan, I know what I'll be wearing.
Yeah, that can be your daily Shadow Moses.
Dude, that's a flex, man. Like on a date or something. I'm wearing Shadow Moses. That's a flex.
What are you wearing tonight? Oh, I'm wearing Shadow
Moses.
And like the thing is, like Shadow Moses is a really good name. So anybody who isn't familiar with Metal Gear, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's weird." Like they'd be like, "Oh."
Yeah, it sounds pretentious.
That's intriguing.
Like,
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, intriguing. That's
Shadow Moses?
Like, what are you wearing? Like, I'm wearing Azeroth, or like, I'm wearing Midgard. Like, Shadow Moses, that sounds...
Yeah, Midgard and Azeroth are like, those are like, oh, okay,
no, that smells like Cheetos.
But like Shadow Moses is like...
That's...
like from
once you start using words like Azeroth, they like, no, you don't take bets, period.
Yeah. Yeah. They literally make you turn in
with your sword of Darthon.
Yeah, so you can now smell like Shadow Moses. That's probably why. I don't know. That's why Snake ends up with the girl at the end. She's like, all these smells. She's like, oh, it's just smells her.
So musky and
yeah. She's like, you smell good. He's like, it's not me, it's the island. Well, that's all the news I've got this week.
Wait,
yeah, I was about to.
I do have one little bit of news.
Yeah, bring it up.
Very quick, but today is the 6th anniversary of Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh,
and I just thought that should be applauded. It's funny because I was thinking about that game very recently, obviously with Wonder coming out, and I was like listening to Jump Up Superstar a whole bunch, especially after Nintendo Live. I went on a whole Mario spree after that, but like I can't believe it's been 6 years, man. That's insane.
I listen to Jump Up Superstar a lot, and my fiance has a bit where she'll play Bad Bitch by BB Rexa as loud as she can whenever I play Jump Up Superstar. Noah can attest to this. There's been a couple of times where we've just been jamming
out. It really
sucks. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I hate it. But so every time I think of Jump Up Superstar, I now think of Bad Bitch by BB Rexa, which isn't a bad song, but it's not as good as Jump Up Superstar.
Yeah, you're right. It's not a bad song. It's a terrible one.
Okay, well, to each their own.
And then the other one she'd also play is the Hugh Hefner by Tana Mongoose.
She doesn't do that as much, but that song is legitimately terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Odyssey's great. I think it is. I want to say it's like, oh, it's the best 3D Mario, but then I'm like, well, I don't know. 64 is really good.
I
So is
actually,
Galaxy.
oh man, I could go all
Galaxy, I
day
think,
about
might be the
Galaxy.
best. I think
You know
Galaxy's the
what?
best. But Odyssey, they're all good. Except,
When
well,
Odyssey
Sunshine's
came
the-
out, believe it or not, like as huge of a Nintendo Mario guy as I am, I thought the game was great, but I was like, it felt like it was missing something at the time. I went back to it like after the fact, and I was like, oh no, this really is like a magical game.
I could
I don't
see
know,
that. That's kind of how
but I
Breath of
was
the
also
Wild
playing
was
Hat
for
in
me.
Time,
Oh,
and I
okay.
actually, this is a very like hot take, but I actually that came out the same year. Also, if you guys haven't played it,
Oh,
I
I didn't
actually
know that.
enjoy A Hat in Time slightly bit more than Odyssey as
Oh, okay.
in terms of 3D platformers that year. I loved Hat in Time, man.
Huh.
I don't find that terribly surprising. I kind of felt similar about Breath of the Wild. I think just because I played it after everybody talked about it, and then by that point, like it's kind of overhyped. So you kind of go in with really
Your
really high
expectations are like
expectations,
through
yeah.
the roof.
Whereas something
Mhm.
like A Hat in Time, probably lower expectations, so you were pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised. But
Yeah,
was there any
Um.
other? But Odyssey's great. Was there any other
Yep.
news you guys wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Nice little feel good story.
Okay, Noah, go ahead.
So
I'm gonna go let my dog out real fast.
yeah. So well, it's a good thing Simon's not here because feel good story after 13 years, Sam Lake finally got to make the game he wanted to, which is Alan Wake 2,
that's
and
it's
that is my
beautiful.
feel good story. Yeah, it's really great that like video games are an art, but they are also a business. So unfortunately, like yeah, you have to balance that things out. And so it's great, like people like Neil Druckmann, they can essentially, or Hideo Kojima, they can pretty much create anything they want to. But unfortunately, Remedy was not really in that position. So the fact that they want, like Sam, like he really wanted to write the sequel for this game, but he couldn't due to the financial aspect. And so the fact that now he is able to finally do it after 13 very, very long years, it's really good for him. And it's
He was
really not,
glowing on that stage, man. Like when I
he
watched
was.
Summer Game Fest, you could see like dude was kind of nervous too. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like in a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
Because
he's
and I
like,
was I was happy to
he's
see that
unveiling
too.
his baby.
Yeah.
And as
exactly.
even though Remedy definitely has kind of, like I said earlier, a little bit more cash, not like money cash, but like
No.
CACHE.
Yes.
Um,
Cachet.
cachet, I guess.
Cash rules everything around me.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, I mean, it's probably scary for them. There's Alan Wake 1 didn't sell particularly well. So, I mean, I'm sure it was scary. They probably spent a lot of money on this project. So seeing kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, this was a game that nobody was talking about when it was announced.
I was gonna say nobody's
No,
talking
But
about
like
it.
every
nobody.
time it's shown up this year, more and more people, and now it's, I think, like, yeah, I mean, it's got like a 88 on Metacritic for the PS5 version. I think a 92 or a 93
Like
on the
92,
PC.
93 on PC, yeah.
So I mean, you average that out, that's a 90. That's a pretty good video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I mean, yeah, good for Remedy.
Kudos, man. Honestly, kudos to Remedy. Congratulations to the team, just everybody involved on making that become a reality. It's really beautiful to see people's dreams come true like that, especially when there's such an uphill climb.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and congrats to people like Noah who've been waiting 13 years and weren't totally sure if it was gonna happen.
Yeah, man. I hope it's worth the wait. I'll be picking up my copy probably sometime next month because budget's a little limited.
Too much.
But
too much.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I think that this is a good time to kind of go into our game of the week discussion.
Yeah. Should we do a quick little pause?
You want to take
real
a quick little pause?
Yeah. Let's.
Pause. Okay.
The biggest of boys, I gotta go potty.
Like the biggest of boys. All right, we'll do a quick potty break. For you guys listening, it'll be like we never even left. Okay. And we are back from our 45-minute bathroom break. Noah was in there for a really long time.
I mean, to be fair, in my defense, the snake just wouldn't go down.
Whoa!
That's
Yeah.
not a
You
that's
don't
not
know.
a euphemism for anything. A
Oh,
actual python came out of my toilet.
dude, we're talking about booties and pythons today. It's been out of control, man.
Yeah.
You're
And
a
then you
menace.
and
You're
you
a
tried to
Welcome to the
flush your
Game
boot.
Disc podcast, everybody.
Tried to flush your boot down the toilet. It just didn't
Mhm.
work.
No.
But we're not here to talk about all the things Noah's flushing down his toilet. We are here to talk about Alan Wake. Um, so as per usual, I'll have Noah go first just to kind of show you how it's done. Mike, Noah, what do you like about this game? What do you not like about this game? Who would you recommend it to? Just very briefly, spoiler free, before we go into kind of our more in-depth discussion. So start us off,
What do
Noah.
I Yeah, so what do I like about the game?
Yeah, just
The
like
story
one
is
thing.
great. Oh,
or
I was
just a handful. I know that you could talk
Yeah.
about it. It's like your favorite game of all time. I
I'll
know
just
it's kind of
say
hard to keep it brief, but
the story is great. Atmosphere itself is also pretty good. Is also good. Um, Things I don't really like: level design, gameplay is not phenomenal.
okay.
I'd recommend it to people who really, really like Alan Wake 2 and want to experience the beginning, or people that maybe like aren't super interested in a games from like a gameplay mechanic, but just want to focus on a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you like? What do you dislike? Who would you recommend it to?
So, from what I remember, because it has actually been 13 years since I've last played Alan Wake,
Yeah,
but
no, that's
like
fine.
Noah was saying, what I actually was going to bring up was atmosphere. And as a big horror movie fan myself, I can appreciate kind of that foreboding atmosphere because it was a lot of
Mhm.
forest, right? Like
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember the log cabin, obviously, right? It was on the lake, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll talk more about Cauldron Lake.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, that was the name. Yeah,
Yep.
man. Now you're starting to flood back. Okay.
That's what we've
Uh,
noticed. We sometimes we'll talk about these games. We're like, oh well, I don't know if we could talk about it because we haven't played it in so long.
That's
Like that's
so
what we did with
crazy though.
Luigi's
To Noah
Mansion.
though, that is like how you like Wind Waker. I could tell you
Yeah.
everything about Wind Waker, even if I haven't played it
Mhm.
in forever.
Yeah, it's just ingrained.
Yeah.
That's how Noah is with Alan
But
Wake.
like Alan Wake,
100%.
I
So
played it. I played it once. I'm like, this is fantastic. At least, of course, I thought it was
yeah.
fantastic. Obviously, it's like Noah said, it's not perfect, but like
Mhm.
things are gonna captivate people differently, obviously. But
Yeah.
yes, I will say what I liked about it. The story. I liked his narration. I
Mhm.
remember him talking like this, right? It was
Yeah.
kind of like I had to find Alice or something. Like I don't. It's
No,
been so.
you nailed it. Yeah.
You're nailing it.
Yeah. No, you're
And me
nailing
and
it.
my
Like that's
buddy
like
were playing
very.
it. Yeah, we were playing at the time. We were laughing our asses off, but like we were enjoying it. Like not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
yeah. No, Alan Wake definitely has a lot of redeeming features about it, but far from perfect, of course.
Yep. Yeah, I mean you guys kind of said it all. Something I like Barry Wheeler.
Oh,
Um
Barry's great.
and I like I actually really like the I like the primary mechanic. I like the idea of you got to kind of shine your flashlight to remove like the shadow shield type of thing before
Yeah,
you
it's
do
like
damage.
hardcore Luigi's Mansion
It
almost.
Yeah.
is 100% hard. I said that in our Luigi's Mansion episode. I said
Oh, did
Luigi's
you?
Mansion walked so that Alan Wake could run.
Perfect.
Uh,
Perfect.
but yeah, I liked that. I didn't like kind of like the repetitive environments. It is all just Pacific Northwest, and I think my original issue was that I did get like engrossed in the story, but then the game is kind of difficult. I've said this about other Remedy
Mhm.
games. Remedy games are kind of difficult and nobody talks about it. I remember struggling at a couple points in the game, and that can, when you're enjoying the story of a game, that can really just like halt any sort of momentum. But
Was there any difficulty sliders? Sorry to interrupt. Was there?
no, there
wasn't,
is.
right?
I was just playing it on normal, and I'm, at the time I was, prideful. I was like, I gotta beat it on normal. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
do it.
of course.
I'm like, I don't play games on easy,
Mhm.
which I probably just should have. But and then I'd recommend it to just people who kind of want something a little spooky, but maybe isn't super scary, but also people who just like a kind of a good story. So with all of that being said, we're now going to go into full spoilers. So if for whatever reason you haven't played this game from 13 years ago, you can turn off the podcast now and we'll see you next week. But for everybody else who doesn't care about spoilers or who already played this game, here we go into our full discussion. So, Noah, I think that it's probably going to make the most sense for you to kind of lead this one. I know I generally do, but I think that
Yeah.
there's I've played Alan Wake twice. The first time I played it, I kind of enjoyed it, but not really. And then I played it again on PC, and I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. But it's still, not a game I can really speak to like I think you can. So, kind of,
Quick, quick.
what do you think is the first thing? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry. A quick question before we get into that. I
What's
was looking
Alan
on
Wake?
Steam. Yeah, what's Alan Wake? Right?
Alan Wake is
I
a
was looking on
2010
Steam.
video game that was
Yeah.
written by Sam Lake and was published by Microsoft Games Entertainment. No,
There you go. Yeah, you were looking on Steam.
Yeah. Written by Sam Lake, and it takes place on a lake. No, but
no,
I didn't see the remastered on Steam. Is it just?
I think the remastered isn't on Steam because the remaster was basically just a way to get it onto modern platforms because it was only on the only console it was on Xbox.
Yeah, I
could
had it
be
on
wrong about
360
that.
back in the day. I
and
remember.
I think the
and
Steam version is kind of
Microsoft-
just already
Yeah, with the
remastered.
graphics. Okay, cool.
and
Just making sure.
And Microsoft, they published the original, but Epic published the remastered version.
Okay. So should I get it on? It doesn't matter if I get it on Steam or Epic Game Store, right? If I want to get it on PC, I could get on console, but I don't think it matters. It's whatever.
No, you played the remaster, didn't you? Is there a bit noticeable? I mean, so you've played the remaster and you've played the original multiple times. Is there a noticeable difference?
There is no noticeable difference.
So then
Okay.
I'd probably just get it on Steam. You can probably get it for a much better price. And
yeah,
it's like $4 right now, $3.75.
there you go. Like I said, I personally, so I played this on Steam. I enjoyed it a lot more. I think the mouse controls are really cool because you've got one with the flashlight and one with shooting, so it just makes it like really fun to kind of toggle between the two, and it definitely increased my enjoyment. So I think PC is actually a pretty good way to play it.
Fun fact: Remedy was actually against a PC version originally because they were like, this game is so narrative. We want people to sit down on a couch and then just like play it like a movie. But then there's actually a joke in the PC version. There's like QR codes, and if you scan like one at the beginning, it's like, apparently it does work pretty well on the PC.
Oh, that's pretty good. But anyway, Noah, let's get into the discussion. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the narrative? I think that's kind of a good place to start with this game.
Yeah, so narrative, it's great. I loved it. There's not really a lot of like supernatural stories, I feel like, in like modern media. And so the fact that this was like a supernatural mystery was great.
It was very like, sorry to cut you off, but it was very like it was, I mean, Twin Peaks, the video game.
Yeah.
Like, and at the time we didn't have like, even now there's still not that many. There's like Deadly Premonition and things, but not quite at the same level like Alan Wake was. I mean, Alan Wake is clearly inspired by like Twin Peaks.
Absolutely. It's one of those things like there's like these unique cast of characters that's just like, some of them are pretty quirky. Deadly Premonition did do the same thing. But I feel like Alan Wake had a much tighter narrative. And even like Alan himself, whom is supposed to kind of be like the normal, like the everyman character, he is so melodramatic. Like, and it's one of those things, especially like playing Alan Wake 2. The other protagonist's name is Saga, and Saga's like a very well written normal person. And when Alan's on screen, it's like it really just highlights how like melodramatic of a character he is. And it's like, and it's a character that people will dismiss as like, oh yeah, he's just a boring generic protagonist, but it actually is like, oh, this guy actually is like kind of fun, like in that manner.
So I do remember the first game where he's like, oh, I'm Alice. Like I remember him like over enunciating things or like just.
Yeah, and that's something great. That's great. And it's one of those things that like I really like it. And of course, the other character is Barry Wheeler, whom Remedy actually said like, they're like, yeah, if this seems boring or like doesn't seem interesting, just throw Barry in there somewhere. He'll make it fun.
He's Alan's like publicist, right? Or like
he's his what is it? Like
editor?
his agent.
Agent, that's right.
And so he's his agent, and his role in the game is like main like setup for the story.
Yeah,
Alan's
that's
a
probably what we
writer.
should have said to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan is a writer with writer's block. Him and his wife go on vacation, and while they rent a cabin that's on the lake. It's like on a little island on the lake, Cauldron Lake, and they have an argument.
It's not a lake.
Alan leaves and he hears his wife scream. She like falls into the lake. He jumps in after her, and then he blacks out. And when he wakes up, he's dangling in a car off of a cliff. And he goes to a gas station and finds out a week has passed. And he like finds the sheriff, and the sheriff takes him to the cabin, and it's not there. Like there is no island on the lake. It's just a lake. And so
he's basically just trying to
Yeah.
find his wife and kind of figure out what's going
What-
on as all this weird kind of creepy figures are attacking him and Barry.
Mhm. And Barry comes in because he hasn't heard from Alan in like a week. He comes in to like he finds him in the police station. So yeah, he is like, if you touch your hands on him, I'm going to sue like your ass is off. Just a fun little character. Has a strong like New York accent.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's just like a New Yorker that you just toss in the middle of this game in like the Pacific Northwest, and he just brings that like New Yorker energy, and it is like,
and it's this quiet small town.
And like Alan's not likable in this game.
No,
like
he's abusive to his wife.
Yeah,
like
he's
not
just like he's an
not
ass.
He's a
physically
genuinely good guy.
But like, so I think that it's a good idea to have Barry, because then like you would just be playing
this
as
jerk.
this dick like for
Yeah.
like 10 hours, and at least like and a big part of the drive is because you're Alan's wife is a saint for dealing with his bullshit, and so you do want her to have like a happy ending. But Alan is just he's just a prick, and so having Barry kind of show up and like, you know, adding some levity and kind of giving you a character. This game wouldn't work as well as it does without Barry, because it would just be miserable, I think.
I agree.
And that's probably why they did add him to the game, because they're like, hey, Alan's not very likable.
No. And I think that just because Alan's not likable, that doesn't mean he's a poorly written character. Like,
no, that's 100% by design. Yeah.
Like, there's all like these like self monologues in the game. Like, the major thing is his self doubt. He's like, and even like the very beginning of the game, he has like one of his creations talking to him. He's like, you're a shitty writer. Like, all you do is rely on like common tropes and like bullshit. And that is the thing. And that like self-doubt like externalizes into aggression, and that is like why. And it's one of those things where it's like, even he's like, yeah, like Alice is better than me, like she doesn't really deserve me. And and it's one of those things where it's like even in an interview is like, yeah, Sam like was talking about it, and he's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, like Alan is, even his goal of finding his wife is more of a selfish goal than like compared to the sheriff. When things start like going to shit, her goal is for like the people of the town. And that is interesting. Like, you have a character like Sheriff Breaker, and she is more of like an actual like hero. Like, she knows some
she
weird
is the
stuff.
Protagonist of, if this game were made by anybody but Revenue, she would have been the protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's weird stuff going on. She's like, okay, like, what do we do to stop it? Got it. And then she starts
Alan
getting
would
ready.
be the shady guy that you don't know if you could trust. And then at the end you find out he is like also like a hero or whatever. I'm just realizing that. That's actually kind of funny. I wonder if that was intentional.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I will say this: there is one flaw. There's one gripe I have with the narrative, and I thought that they should have played up the fact that it's like, is this real or is Alan just crazy?
Yeah, they don't like, really. You never really doubt that
it was ambiguous at the ending, wasn't it?
No, it was.
It's pretty clear that there's supernatural stuff going on.
The first level, it makes it seem like after you see the lake, you're like, oh, what? Maybe he is like just crazy. But then by the end of the second level, Barry's like, Alan, like weird stuff is going on. So because Barry confirms everything you like say. At that point, it's like, okay, yeah, like this is real. It's not just Alan being crazy.
Yeah.
And
which
on
I
the
kind
one
of
hand,
get. It could have been difficult, like we talked about. You kind of need Barry to make the audience care about just enjoy some characters, and
it's such a fast-paced game that it's like I kind of
It's
get
like
it.
6 levels.
Yeah, like you can't spend too much time like doing that, but
and I wouldn't be surprised if there is more of that kind of stuff in Alan Wake 2, just because the game seems so much more ambitious.
That's actually kind of a gripe I have with the second one as well. Like, it's
we
even
don't,
worse.
we don't have to get into. We'll get into that when we talk about kind of what we're playing at the end. Let's try to just keep it focused on the first one.
Okay,
especially because I don't want to go too much into spoilers, just because this game did just come out yesterday. But yeah, that's fair. Is there anything else you kind of want to talk about the story? I think generally the story is pretty well written. Like I said before, there isn't really a story like it in games even today. There definitely wasn't when it came out 13 years ago. Alan's not likable, but all the characters are well written, like you said. The band guys, what are they called?
Oh, the old god, or the children of the elder god.
Yeah, they're awesome, and their little segment. Well, we'll talk more about them when we kind of get to gameplay.
Thor and Odin Anderson.
Yeah, they're awesome. That's like the part I remember most from the game. It's like a pretty hard section, but that part's just great.
Also, yeah, I forgot. No, they're called the old gods of Asgard, not Children of the Elder God. That's their song.
I was like, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, no, Children of the Elder God is the song. Old Gods of Asgard is the band name.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was something with Asgard. I thought, but So yeah, do you want to kind of go into gameplay, or is there anything else, Mike? Do you want to? I know that you said you haven't played this game in a while, so
yeah,
I'm assuming this stuff is kind of like washing over you, and you're like kind of formulating your thoughts. Like, okay, it's maybe starting to come back.
It's actually it's nice to hear all this stuff again because it has been so long. So like the second you said Cauldron Lake, I'm like, damn, I haven't heard that in 13 years. You know what I mean? And it just started flooding back, and actually, this is making me want to replay it even more.
Well,
because I was gonna go straight into Alan Wake 2 when I pick it up, but honestly, I'm thinking it's time for a refresh because it has been so long.
Yeah,
especially.
Well, no, I guess real fast. Do you as somebody who's played 2 and started it? How much how much Alan Wake 1 knowledge do you need
for 2? None.
Oh,
you don't need any.
Wow,
that's really. I guess it makes sense. It was 13 years ago. It didn't sell well.
Yeah, so that was the thing. They specifically wrote. So there's a new character named Saga Anderson. She's
she's like an FBI agent, right?
Yeah, and her and Alan are the two protagonists of the game, and they specifically wrote her for the people that did not play the first game.
Okay.
So
that makes
very
sense.
smart.
Very, very smart.
Yeah, big time.
The original plan was to have the game take place immediately after the first game, but then because it took 13 years to make, they changed that, and that's why they threw her in. So and so that's the thing. You really don't need to replay. You don't need to play the first game. I mean, it's cool to have the backstory, but you don't.
Yeah, I'm like one of those kind of people. Like, regardless, I'm probably going to replay it again at some point.
Yeah,
but that is cool for other people going into that game, knowing that because there is going to be a lot of people who are first timers. There's going to be people hopping on the bandwagon, of course. Ooh, what is this mysterious game that came out for Halloween? It's getting a lot of traction.
Weird.
Yeah, and I mean, it just looks so good, man. Like just visually too. Like just,
It is a very nice game visually.
Yeah, I love the atmosphere. Love it.
But yeah, let's go back to 1. So gameplay wise, I kind of mentioned it earlier. The primary gameplay mechanic is that you've got a flashlight and you've got a gun, and all the enemies are cloaked in like these shadows, and you have to you have to focus your flashlight to basically dispel the shadows around them, and then you can do damage with your normal firearms, which is kind of cool from like a resource. It's more than just shoot things, make them go.
It was
boom.
like a spot, right? If I remember, it was like a spot. Like after a while, you would shine it, and then there was like a spot you would have to shoot specifically.
No, you can just shoot them anywhere.
They had like weak spots, I think, but didn't some of them?
No. So
What are we thinking
It
of?
was if you played on normal, it took I think if you played on normal or hard, it took 2 shots to kill an enemy. If you played on nightmare, it took 4 shots to kill an enemy. There's predominantly 3 different types of enemies. There's Taken, which were the like humanoid figures. You shine your light, you shoot them. There was poltergeist objects that like were just tables and things.
Oh
They would
yeah.
Oh,
rise
I
up
remember that.
and then
Yeah,
they
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
shake and then they would throw themselves at them. You didn't
Yup.
shoot them, you just shined your light. And the last enemies were the bats, or like the crows, that were just a swarm of crows. They would fly up, they would scream, and then they would charge at you, and you just shined your light on. So those were like the main enemies. There is a mechanic in Alan Wake 2 where it's like if you shine your light on people, it creates a weak spot. That wasn't
Oh, that's
present
probably
in the
what
first game.
Interesting.
But yeah, I liked that. I liked kind of like the resource management of the game. You know, it was more than just, oh, you've only got, you know, so many bullets. You also had to kind of worry about the batteries in
Battery
your
life.
flashlight.
Yep.
And then also you got like flare guns, which were just like
Flare guns were
basically like
awesome.
grenade launchers. And that was, and like flares themselves were light grenades. So it was just like a really cool way to kind of do normal video gamey type weapons and things in a different type of game. So
Yeah, well that was the thing. There was 2 main types of grenades. There was flares, which what a good
yeah,
girl.
she's mad.
There's flares that you would use them and enemies would back away. So that was like when you were getting overwhelmed, you would get a flare and you could either hold the flare and walk with it to like get away from enemies, or you could like drop the flare and then just shoot enemies, but they couldn't get clear to you. The other grenade was flashbangs, which were just normal grenades essentially. You throw them, they activate, they can get killed. The biggest then there's only 4 weapons in the game. There was the revolver, the hunting rifle, the double-barreled shotgun, and the pump-action shotgun. And that is, I think, the gameplay is something that kind of is like rough playing it now. It doesn't feel as smooth or like it's nice as other shooters, and the fact that like 2 out of 4 weapons are a shotgun. There's only 1 sidearm in the entire game. It's something that there's not a lot of options, which does make it feel a little condensed. Like
Well, I think that the kind of smoothness was my original problem, because when this came out on the 360, there were like, you know, like Gears of War had kind of figured out third-person shooters.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why I didn't really
Certainly did.
Yeah, I didn't really gel with it. Because I was like used to playing like Rainbow Six and Gears of War and like even you know, like Uncharted I think had come out by that point, which is
it's
already rough. Yeah, it was like a rougher, you know, not as good as like Uncharted 2, but it still felt like good enough. And Alan Wake definitely felt clunkier.
Yeah.
And which go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, I've played the game. I think I've beaten the game like 5-6 times by now. The most recent playthrough was the remaster, and I was kind of like, okay, like this is really starting to show its age, from a gameplay perspective, and that's why it's like the story is so good, but now given I've been playing on consoles, maybe the PC version's a little different. Yeah, gameplay, you do definitely feel the game's age, unfortunately, when you play it now.
So, if somebody did want to go see the Roots, right? Like how I kind of want to replay it, just regardless if Alan Wake 2's story, you know, shows it or not. Like, is it a rough ask now of gamers today, like to go and play the original? Like, would you even recommend it, or just tell them just go straight into 2?
I would
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you can go first. I have my own kind of take.
I would say if you are a big, huge gamer, I would say give it a try. The story is still phenomenal, but I would say like obviously we don't have time to play like every game in the world. We all wish we do, but we have backlogs. And so I would say for most people, probably just jump into Alan Wake 2. Like that's the thing. Remedy, they knew people wouldn't go back to play the first game because it's been so long, and so they wrote the story specifically so that it's a good jumping on point. So I would say, yeah, just um I would personally recommend just jump into 2.
But I don't
Like
think that like 1 is that bad where like you would, if you played 1, you wouldn't be like, "Oh man, this is."
no,
Like I
definitely
think
not.
that like my fiance played it when the remaster came out for the first time. I don't think she ever beat it, but she did get like decently far before she just fell off of it for whatever reason. But she enjoyed her time with it, and she still wants to like go back, and she's,
Yeah.
I don't think
And
it's like rough. Well,
that
maybe
is
rough, but not like impossible. It's not like some like Nintendo 64 games, like
no.
where
And
it's
Oh boy,
just
yeah.
that's
like
something that it is difficult for me to talk about because it's like am I getting bored of it because it's like the game's just old and like is rough, or is it because it's a linear game I've beaten 5 times,
and
like
it's probably just
where
a combination of both, honestly.
yeah. So yeah, but we can't talk about gameplay without talking about the level design in the game. And that is so the game has 6 chapters, and I believe 3 of them are just forests.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that heavy.
Yeah, like
Heavy.
and now like there are some different takes on the forest. Like one of them you go into like
A creek.
yeah, and like and like you go to like a mining shaft in one,
I do remember
but
the
like
mining shaft.
but then there are like other things like the most interesting parts on the game are like when you like are in the town or and like
When
you
you're
fight
not
on
surrounded by trees.
exactly.
Well,
And
yeah,
it
it's
it was
just
so
different.
bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad that years ago somebody asked Sam like they're like if you had the chance to make Alan Wake 2, what would you do differently? He said definitely less forests. And and so it is a problem. And like I said, they're different. Like even the second level, it's a forest, but it's more like a hiking trail. But by the end of the day, it's still a forest.
Yeah, I mean they did the best they could, but also it just like with the way the story is like laid out, like he can't. He's looking for his wife. They were in this region, this location. It's not like he's gonna like, well, oh, she was sent to
What was she doing in
yeah.
Cairo?
Yeah, and then like LA, and it's like he's like this globe-trotting Indiana
Yeah.
Jones adventure. It's like,
And
oh,
the last level takes place in Antarctica.
where's Carmen San Diego? Like
No,
just
it's
following the
like
trail.
yeah, then it's just Barbara Jagger's like he's like, "Where are you, Barbara?" She's like, "I'm in the darkest place of all. Look up." And he looks at the night sky. He's like, "Of course." And then the last level takes place in space.
Yeah, basically. I mean that's yeah.
But yeah, no, I get it. And that's the thing. Like you put up with it because the story is so good. And it isn't a globe-trotting one. It is very condensed to a small town, and that's why the story's so good. But it unfortunately does kind of hurt a lot of the iconography in the
Well, it
game.
just
Like
I think it more just harms the like when I think of the game, like I guess yeah, the iconography.
yeah.
You remember the parts that aren't the forest because it's the things that stand out, like the um old Asgard
The
guys.
farm.
Yeah,
It's
like
also
the
a
farm.
testament to the writing though too. Like even with the level design being so similar, so samey, like the fact that the dialogue, just the whole narrative in general can kind of carry the
It
game.
pulls, yeah, it's
Yeah.
strong enough to get you
Because
through
I
it,
actually I was talking to a coworker about it because he's actually playing through Alan Wake for the first time, and he was talking about that. Like obviously the forest, Alan Wake people know that.
Yeah.
But he's saying as he's progressing through the game, he's like, okay, you know what? It was starting at first. He was kind of like, and now it's starting to grip him. And now he said, I need to see the end.
Yep, that's how it got me.
So I was like, because I told him, I was like, dude, keep playing. Because even like I forgot, but like I remember it being good back in the day when I played it.
Oh yeah, and the story for sure holds up.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I think this game doesn't, it's something it does well, but also not great. Is it is like a very spooky, like eerie, creepy game, but it's not scary.
No.
Like, and it's not even like, it's kind of survival horror, but it's not like Resident Evil survival horror where you're really like worrying about resource management. Like, oh, I guess I'm
just
out of pistol
atmospheric.
Ammo. Yeah, it's more tone and setting. Which is kind of funny because this is like our last. We've been doing spooky games all month long. This is our last one, and it's like, well, it's not really scary. It's like,
no,
it's just because we wanted to line it up with the release of Alan Wake 2.
I was gonna say it's scary. Like perfect, so perfect on a Friday too. Like honestly,
it is. And Remedy has gone on the record, and they said that they were like, Alan Wake 2 is our first horror game. The first one had horror elements, but we don't consider it a horror game. And it says on the cover, it says like, I think us like. Supernatural psychological thriller. I believe that's what it said on the cover of the first game.
That sounds right, actually.
Yeah. Which it doesn't say horror there. Which also, fun fact. So the game opens up with a quote by Stephen King, and as a thank you for using it, Remedy gave him a copy of the game, but he didn't have an Xbox, so
I was gonna say Stephen King was probably like, "What am I gonna do with this?" Real fast, just because I've been meaning to tell this story on the podcast because it's so funny, but I keep forgetting. So I went to PAX when that was. That's how I met Mike. And my fiance and I were walking down the street, and there was this guy giving out like mixtapes.
Of course,
on like a CD, and he gives it to this like nerd, and this nerd takes this. He's like, "What the fuck is this? A CD? Who the fuck has a CD player?" And throws it on the ground and keeps walking.
Oh my god!
No.
So randomly,
he didn't even bullshit it. Like, thanks, man. You know what I mean? Like, dabbed him up and damn,
it was brutal. I was like, fuck,
dude.
So my fiance and I will sometimes be like, "Who the fuck has a CD player?"
Oh my god!
You had to give him a career to destroy it, bro.
Yeah. It was. We were like, ooh. But he also helped us because then the guy didn't give us his mixtape.
But let's talk. Speaking of music, so
I could tell you nothing about this game's music. That's a lie. I remember like the sound design, like when enemies appear, it's like the type of thing. Which is,
I haven't heard this in forever, so I'm just hearing you go. I have no clue. I have no.
That was like verbatim. That was the act. I played the sound clip.
I just picture Sylvester Stallone do that.
The funny thing is, I didn't even realize what Simon just said, because when he said like it played the sound clip in my mind, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
How accurate was my sound?
I mean, I didn't realize you said anything stupid. I mean, I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
It was like which I think like one of like the darkness's sounds is like a distorted cat meow or something like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of creepy sounds. Like, you always feel like you're kind of like, there's something out there. Kind of like what we talked about with Silent Hill.
Something lurking in the dark.
You guys are either going to completely forget about this, like not know what I'm talking about, or you'll be like, oh my god, you're right. There's a part where Alan and Barry are arguing, because so in the storyline, Alan receives like an email from a note from a kidnapper. He's like, I have your wife. You have to like come over here and like bring this manuscript. And Barry's telling Alan not to go, and Alan says, damn it, Barry, they'll kill her. And he knocks over a lampshade, and the lampshade falls, and it does not make a sound.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Was that like an actual like error on the developer's part? Like, there's
it's awkward because you expect there to be a sound, and
like a thud.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember that.
And it's just
I remember that conversation. I don't remember the lamp not making a sound.
I love lamp.
But other than that, the sound design's really good. So Remedy teams up with the Finnish rock band Poets of the Fall. They create songs specifically for the game as the fictional old gods of Asgard, and those songs are great.
Yeah, they are.
One of the songs is played during the most iconic moment in the game, which is when
That's per
you're
usual with Remedy games. Control's
absolutely
music section was the best part of that game too.
the Poets of the Fall,
Dog.
Old Gods of Asgard, like music section is always the highlight of them. And in this game, it was you're on a farm, and it's like a concert stage, and the song is playing in the background while like you have to fight like hordes of the Taken. That's the most iconic part of the game.
That sounds badass.
Yeah,
it's
that
great.
is like
it's,
the part I remember kind of the most when I think about this game.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Noah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was actually gonna say just like, I thought there was something else, but I can't think of it. So actually, I think I'm good on talking about it, unless there's anything else you kind of want
to. Not really. No, I can't really think of anything. No.
Okay. Well,
yeah, great game.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? It was like E3 2017. The YouTuber, whatever, Jesse Wellens, when he flubbed, was it Need for Speed? And he's like, "Yeah, guys, great game." And they caught him. Like he wasn't supposed to be on screen. They caught him. They just got him on. It's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, great game.
So speaking of great games, Noah, is this getting on the? This is your favorite game of all time. Is it going on the top 100 list of all time?
No. I love this game. Like I said, it's my favorite game of all time, and part of the thing of doing this is learning how to be objective. And the story is great, but unfortunately, because the story is so great, they had to make some sacrifices. Like mentioned, it's not a globe-trotting story. It's all very condensed. So the level design and because the game came out really before like third-person shooters were like solidified, it is a little clunky, and it just doesn't play. I don't think the game is. So I feel like there's two kind of requirements for top 100 game, and one of them is it either is still like just as fun today as it was back then, or it like was so innovative that like we wouldn't have like modern games without it. And I don't think Alan Wake has done either of those. So
okay,
as much as it's my favorite game of all time, it is not a 100. I do not believe it's in the top 100.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
No.
All right, yeah, I mean, I was gonna give it to Noah. Like, we'll put it at like 98 or something. But if you're like,
I can't do it. Like I said, I love the game. It's great. I like know a shit ton of facts. I can tell you like all these characters' names that you'll be like, who the hell was they? Like Pat Maine, who's the radio host, Cynthia Weaver, who's the Lady of the Light, Thomas Zane, who you never see him except for you see him in a diver suit, who was like a poet, who was kind of like the pre-Alan in a way.
Thomas Zane actually had a pretty big role, I think.
Oh, he had a huge role. And then Dr. Emil Hartman, who was actually behind the kidnapping subplot. He didn't kidnap Alice, but he knew she was missing, so he hired this guy to like pretend to take her. Which I think there is actually a cool part in the game where you get a gun but no flashlight, so it's like, well, this is useless. I don't feel safe, even though I have a weapon. But
that's actually cool. Like,
yeah.
Usually in a survival horror, right? Well, I mean, obviously Resident Evil, you have guns on you, but like, I don't know, Amnesia, it's like having a gun and it's useless.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, but there's a lot of things. Like, I love this game, but by the end of the day, I have to acknowledge its flaws and its faults, and I can't, just because I like it, doesn't mean that it is one of the greatest games of all time. And like, yeah, that's what I said for Skyrim. I don't like the game, but I have to acknowledge how like good it is and how great they designed the world. And Alan Wake, plot is phenomenal, but
I like that about you. I like that.
Thank you.
That is very
because people say no, that game sucks.
I like to think like I like to think I'll do the same, but like I think it depends. I
I
think it
think
depends on the
looking
game.
at everything through an objective lens is good.
Mhm.
Like you realize like this is an extreme example. Like The
Uh-huh.
Room is one of my favorite movies of all time. But we don't gotta talk. We know about The Room
No.
already, but like it's
Well,
it's a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
well,
Yeah.
I
That goes
would
without saying, but
Well,
yeah.
I maintain that your real true favorite game of all time should be a game that's like an 8 out of 10 because it's like it's not the greatest game in the world, not like flawless or perfect, but
Ooh.
it hits just the right notes for you. And Alan Wake, I love the story so much, but because of the story they had to sacrifice things like gameplay and level design, and for that reason, it created a game that not a perfect game. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. 8.5 if we're being generous.
That's a
But I would
triumph
lean
though for such a
yeah.
small
Man.
team, man. Was that Remedy's first title?
Nope.
No, Max Payne
It was
wasn't
it
it?
was their third
Max
title.
Payne, really?
Yeah, they
So
made Max Payne 1
Remedy
and 2.
and
Oh
then
wow.
before
3 was
that
Rockstar.
so
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
first game was a game called Death Rally. And that was just like a little combat racing game. Then Max Payne 1, then Max Payne 2, and then
Wow,
Alan
I
Wake.
bet that rally game was probably a game jam. That sounds like a game
It
jam
Probably
game.
is. There was somebody, I think,
It's fun.
Sucker Punch has like a similar type of thing, or maybe it's in
Yeah,
or Naughty Dog.
it's
Somebody
fun.
has a game like that. That's like they have a weird
Yeah.
racer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's not anything great, but it's a fun little game. I believe I have it on Steam and I beat it and it was a fun little game, but yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, sorry, Alan Wake. You didn't make it this
No.
time. Maybe Alan Wake
You
2.
are the weakest link.
You are
I'm
the
hoping
weakest link.
Alan Wake
Goodbye.
2 can get it. I'm
Well,
hoping Alan Wake 2 can get it.
That brings us to our final section of the show where we talk about what we've been playing. We've been going a little long, so we can't spend a ton of time talking about this stuff, but I know that we've all been playing stuff we're enjoying, so let's talk about it a little bit. Kind of just to segue into the next thing. Noah, you've been playing Alan Wake 2. Keep it spoiler free because Mike and I are both interested in it,
Yeah,
but
I'm
we haven't
very
even
interested.
touched it.
Mhm.
But as a huge, Alan Wake fan, and waiting so long for this game, I mean, how are you feeling? Are you disappointed? Is
No,
it
definitely
just like
not disappointed.
okay, good? That's kind of mostly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, so there are a lot of things in it that I think are really great and I really like. I texted you like an hour into it. I was like, I don't know if Alan Wake's my I don't know if Alan Wake is my favorite game of all time anymore. And there are some like criticisms. I feel like the people's reactions towards the monsters is a bit low. Like it's like a thing where it's like, okay,
They're
I
just
guess
very
monsters are a
casual.
thing. Yeah, which I mean, but to be fair, this is a game where control takes place, so maybe things are just
Things have gotten out. Yeah, it's like
so
it's like if
maybe
you lived in like the MCU, you wouldn't be surprised by Thanos or whatever. You'd
yeah.
be like, oh,
There are some things in it like I believe they showed this on like a trailer or something, but there's a character in it named Alex Casey. Alex Casey is the protagonist of a detective novels that Alan used to write. And he essentially was just a way for Remedy to reference Max Payne. There's a character in it named Alex Casey who's an FBI agent, and when Alan meets him, he's like, "Oh, like you're like I created you." He's like, "Nope, just guy with the same name."
that's funny.
And it's like it's funny they included that. It's like there's a main character. He's not this fictional character who's like a major part of Alan's life. He just happens to have the same name. It's like that's funny. And I think that they either toned down the like darkness shield or they got rid of it. I honestly don't know quite really, but I am enjoying it. I'm really excited to find out more about this game and to keep playing it, see where the story goes. I just started doing a Alan set. I just began playing as Alan. Spoiler alert, you play as Alan in this game.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, so and I was starting to lose interest, but then once I started playing Alan, it immediately just roped me back into it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm excited. I have something to look forward to in a
yeah.
year that's already been jam packed
Yeah,
with shit to
yeah.
look forward to, but I'm adding it to the list, man.
Yeah,
it's
I'm hoping to get to this before the end of the year. I don't know.
it's
Oh my god.
I don't
And
it's
there's
know
a
a
if
new
it'll
remedy
happen.
game.
Avatar game in
Yup.
December.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
which actually will probably be good.
and it's
Yeah.
a Remedy game, and Remedy they always put their games are always unique. And so yeah, that's something I really like about them.
Yeah.
And this game it definitely seems like it's more unique than the first one.
Yeah, I'm not the
Awesome.
biggest Remedy fan, but I definitely want to check this out at some point.
Mhm.
I gotta get through Control too, because I've had that for
I
like 2
didn't
Christmases now,
Yeah.
and I
I
have
didn't
not.
really like Control, but
I gotta sit through at some
I
point.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Something about Control didn't click with me. I think there's other.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm also a weirdo.
Anyway,
A lot of
moving on.
people.
We've talked about Alan Wake
Yeah,
enough of this
that's true.
podcast.
Mike, you've been playing
S-
Spider-Man.
It's been an interesting week because in one instance I'm in Manhattan, the next I'm in a portal going towards the Flower Kingdom. So
Wait, what?
it, yeah, yeah, dude, it's been that kind of week. Flip flopping between Spider-Man 2 and Mario Wonder.
That's how my Friday was. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a weird thing, but it's like you're looking forward to both these games, and I would
Mhm.
say equally for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously two separate genres,
Mhm.
two separate characters and everything, but Spider-Man, I have been putting in a lot of time. I'm almost done with it, and I will say, as a lifelong Webhead fan,
Mhm.
I am very happy with this game. Insomniac has done such a phenomenal job. I've seen people have complained that it's more the same. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know at this point in time. Obviously, we could say in another 10 years, just how you're talking about Alan Wake, right? Where it's like, oh, that's extremely outdated. At
Mhm.
this point in time on PS5 hardware, I don't know what more people want from a Spider-Man experience
That's
because I feel like a badass, dude. When you level up, you're swinging around corners.
Mhm.
The web wings obviously are the new gadget.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Hitting the wind
Well,
tunnels
well,
and just
well,
even just swinging itself. Like
the swinging is
I
it's
read somewhere
phenomenal.
that like because of the SSD and the PS5, like basically the limiting factor in how fast you swing in Spider-Man the original was the hard drive in the PS4. They don't have that problem in Spider-Man
Mhm.
2. So you swing so much faster. So I just remember as soon as I turned it on for the first time, hitting that trigger to swing, I was like, "Oh, yeah, it is more
You're
the same, but
schmoving.
we don't
It-
like I feel like sequels don't like during like we talked about Alan Wake and like the 360 generation. During that generation, the games would come out, they'd be 7 or 8s, and then the sequels come out and they'd be 8s and 9s because they
yeah.
would they would just refine and they'd figure the things that worked. And I feel like
Oh
that's what
man,
this is.
when you
Like,
said
Mhm.
Gears of War 2, that's a whole other
Mhm.
yeah,
topic. But man,
exactly.
but yeah, no, with Spider-Man, yeah, obviously mechanically speaking, there's a lot of similarities to Miles Morales and the first game, obviously. I mean,
Because
it
if
is
it
a
ain't broke,
sequel.
don't fix it. Like,
Well,
Exactly. And
the
those
thing.
games,
oh,
they were fun.
Oh,
What were you gonna say, Noah?
no, go ahead. You can finish your thought.
I was gonna say, no, I think Insomniac nailed the wall crawler, man. Like this
Yeah.
is the best. I mean, there's
easily,
no other
yeah.
Spider-Man I would ever
Well,
say
and
is better than this
so the
at this
thing
point.
is, when I saw the trailer and I saw the web wings, I was like, that looks fun, but Spider-Man doesn't really use those. He mostly swings. And I think it's like you said, this is like the best Spider-Man game they can make because really I feel like the more improvements they would make would just become less and less like Spider-Man. So it's
Mm,
like I think that's the thing. It's like, yeah, they're killing it.
Well,
they are, and
and that's kind of the
spoiler
cool thing about
free,
the
of course.
wings.
Um, yeah, like I said, I'm almost done. It's everything I could want from a Spider-Man game. So
Yeah.
I'm sure the ending. I've had coworkers tell me, "Oh my god, oh my god." I've had a few friends platinum it already, so I know they
Damn.
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
yeah,
hoping
I
to
look
do.
forward to that, and also finishing Wonder hopefully this week or next week. I'm almost done with that as
But
well.
Simon, you were gonna say something about Spider-Man,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
was just gonna say with the web wings, that's kind of the cool thing about him. You're right. The web wings are not Spider-Man's. When you think of Spider-Man, how does he get around the city? He swings. But the web wings are, they're from the comic, maybe not used as much, but at the same time,
Mhm.
you don't have to use them, but they are there and they do make traversal easier.
Yeah.
But they're also they make him feel like it's just a gadget.
it feels
Peter,
so
Yeah.
yeah,
good.
Spider-Man. I don't feel like I'm like, oh, this isn't Spider-Man. I never don't feel like Spider-Man. Um, I'm yeah, Mike, I'm pretty much playing more Wonder than Spider-Man. I've got a game that's under embargo, so I can't talk about it. That mostly been playing, so I haven't played a ton of Spider-Man in the past week. But I did play for like 45 minutes
little
2 nights
game
ago.
called Half-Life 3.
Yeah,
Simon got the review copy of the Half-Life 3.
Oh yeah, he got the email from Phil Spencer.
No,
he
from
did.
Gabe
He was
Newell.
like, "Hey,
yeah, Gabe Newell.
Gabe Newell owed me a favor, and he handed you the it."
No, but I did play Spider-Man for like 45 minutes the other night because as
you
we
played
all...
the intro, right? You beat the intro.
Yeah, I played it. I played it when it came out on Friday. I played it for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I didn't play it at all. yeah,
that intro was so.
The intro was pretty good.
Sexy. That's the only word I can think of right now. Sorry, it's just the music, all of it.
Yeah, it was. Go ahead.
No, actually, I don't want to say anything because
don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Noah hasn't touched it. But I am gonna.
You have
spoil,
something to look forward to, Noah.
I'm gonna spoil probably the biggest thing about it. As we all know, Taylor Swift's lucky number is 13. And as of course, as we all know. Also, as we all know, she has the incredibly famous song about the street in New York, Cornelia Street. So
okay, I actually did know that one. Yeah.
2 nights ago, my fiance made me. I was like, I'm just gonna play Spider-Man for like 30 minutes, and I did a mission. She's like, hey, find Cornelia Street. So, for everybody listening, Cornelia Street is in Spider-Man 2, and it intersects with 13th Street. You can rest easy. There's a Taylor Swift Easter egg in Spider-Man 2. And it actually is like a Taylor Swift Easter egg in Spider-Man 2. They purposely put Cornelia Street intersecting with 13th because that is her lucky number.
I actually had no clue about that.
I didn't either.
I'm not a Taylor Swift aficionado.
When I found it, my fiance is like, "Oh my god, they had it intersect with 13th Street. You know that's her lucky number, right?" I'm like,
well, the thing is, if you said literally any other number in the world, I would have continued with the bit, just been like, "Oh yeah, of course." But it was the fact that 13, which is usually an unlucky number, I was like, "Wait, what? Really? Is that it?"
Not for T Swift.
That's edgy, man. 13 is my favorite number.
It's not her favorite number. It's her lucky.
Oh,
her
sorry.
lucky number. Well,
that's still kind of edgy, though.
It is.
I mean, Taylor did have
Taylor
that
Swift
edgy
famously
phase.
edgy.
She
had
an edgy phase.
No, it's not a phase. It's an era.
It's not a phase, Mom.
It's Taylor Swift. They're called eras.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she did have her edgy era that was after like the Kanye West thing, where she was.
It's her Reputation era, Noah.
Oh, okay. So the Reputation era was the edgy one.
You guys,
welcome to Game Disc. Totally here to talk about.
My fiance is a huge Taylor Swift fan. We went to the concert. I've spent probably more like on Taylor Swift merch than any other artist. Like I've got a fucking popcorn bucket that's Taylor Swift in my house right now.
You guys want to go see the movie?
Real quick.
I did not.
How much do you like Taylor Swift, Simon?
I like some of her songs. I would not go see the Taylor Swift movie in theaters, but my fiance, she would and did. So whatever.
Live your best life.
So I know a lot. I know a lot about Taylor Swift now. I definitely think I know more than most people. But that's enough about Spider-Man and Taylor Swift. The other game I've been playing has been Wonder. Wonder's been
succulent.
It's so good. It's early to tell, but it's like if somebody was like, "This is my favorite 2D Mario," I'd say, yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Super Mario World was my number one game for almost 20 years of my life until a game called Persona 5 came out, but that's another discussion. But anyways, Super Mario World was my number one 2D Mario game for a very long time. And Wonder came out, and I'm like, there's no way. Like, I love Mario World to death, and it'll always have a special place in my heart. But to say that it's better than Wonder, it would just be crazy, in my opinion.
I could see it going both ways. If somebody said they liked World better, I'd be like, I could see that. If somebody said they liked Wonder
like if
better,
someone said they like 3 better, you still understand it.
Yeah,
but it's
Wonder and World are close. I'll have to wait to see how I feel, but right now I'm just enjoying it.
I could say Wonder's, in my opinion,
it's
what
better.
I've played so far, I could say that Wonder is
Yeah, I'll have to take a step back and see when I'm not as like close to the picture. But I mean, I'm really enjoying it so far. I've got like kind of like two worlds left. I'm hoping to beat it probably next week. And then hopefully just kind of jump back on
Yeah.
Spider-Man and wrap that up. But that's kind of mostly what I've been playing.
What a
Uh
week, man. You have Alan Wake,
Mhm.
yeah.
Spidey, Mario. I feel like there's something else.
Well,
Blink
Sonic
182 just dropped a new album
Taylor
on the same
Swift
day.
just dropped Taylor's
That's
version of
ins-
1989.
Oh my
Oh
god,
man.
It's absurd.
dude!
Man.
It's just been a week.
Yeah, and Sonic
Yeah.
was a
Here.
couple of days before that. And you really liked Sonic, didn't
Oh,
you?
I loved Sonic Superstars. That's a good example too. That's not perfect. There's glitches. There's some bugs. The co-op is a fun experience, but flawed. The camera is a little all over the place with that. Where
Yeah.
Wonder nails the co-op more
Yeah,
so than Sonic
I could see
Superstars
that.
does. But I will give Sonic Team props and Arzest, or the other co-developer. This is their first time doing a co-op 2D Sonic 4
Oh,
players at
nice.
once. So
Oh.
I give them a pass on that, but it is really fun when it works.
Good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad to hear that.
Sonic Superstars is fun.
I wanna check it out. All right. Well, I think
Would recommend.
good. Yeah, I'll
Mhm.
check it out at some point
Mhm.
when things slow down. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Before we get out of here, Mike. No, I'll have you
Yeah,
go first.
we'll do with my bullshit.
'Cause
Let's
you'll
get my
actually
bullshit out of the way.
So,
Let's-
Mike, every week, because Noah doesn't have any social media or anything, he plugs whatever he wants to plug. And it could be anything from the shitty Mexican restaurant down the street from his apartment to
I'd like to
IKEA.
say it's the convenient Mexican
Convenient, not
restaurant.
shitty, to IKEA, to the random thrift store that sells cowboy boots. So Noah, what are you shouting out today?
So today what I'm going to shout out is I'm actually going to shout out this really good barbecue restaurant over by that's a little bit of ways from my house. It's really good. They have so in Japan it's expected the American food you're going to find in Japan is not going to be as good as the American food you find in America. And this may be like the ribs there may be the best barbecue ribs I've ever had. It
Oh,
is
wow.
that
Mhm.
good.
What's it called?
And it's called Midtown Barbecue. And
In Nagoya, Japan?
yeah, owner's
Okay.
Canadian apparently.
Okay.
Whoa.
So Nagoya,
It's
Japan,
interesting.
Midtown Barbecue. I think there's actually a couple locations in some
Okay.
like Japanese cities, but it was really good. I was like, Alan Wake 2's out today. I want to have like a great meal for this. And I also want a big meal so that I don't have to go out as much this week and I can stay inside my apartment. And I accomplished both those things. So shout out to Midtown Barbecue.
Cool. All right. Mike, what do you want to shout out? Where are you?
So, me and my friend and his girlfriend the other day wanted a quick bite because my roommate's a really good cook. So we wanted something small before he cooked some banging ass chicken teriyaki.
Real quick, Mike, you're supposed to plug in your socials at this point, right?
No. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Mike's like, I like your idea better.
No. Yeah, I have to now. There's this bomb ass Italian place called Squisito, and as a native New Yorker living in Delaware, to find a New York-esque pizza joint that actually emulated New York pizza pretty damn close. Shout out to Squisito, bro. But Squisito, bro.
What?
You know. But
there's two real
Look
quick.
what you've
There's
done,
two
Noah.
reality. No. Look what you've done. There's two realities. One where you said, Mike, why don't you go first? And one where you said, Noah, you go first. There is a clear a split point.
Yeah, that was the
right
butterfly
here.
effect. There's an alternate universe.
I love it, man. I don't
That
know.
was
Those
so
people
good.
really deserve that shout out though, because that pizza
It's
was
like they
pretty
deserve-
bomb.
They're doing more than I could ever
So,
hope to do.
What was it called? What was it called again? One more
It was
time.
called Squisito.
In Delaware?
Squisito.
Yeah, it's
So
in
if you're ever
Delaware.
in Delaware and you want some good New York pizza, look up Squisitos.
Squisito.
Mhm.
All right.
But
So Mike,
yeah,
where can people find you?
Esquisitos, baby. I'm here Monday through Friday.
Yeah, he's
12
like,
to 4
I'm a
p.m.
I'm a
Yo,
sauce
play your
man.
Mario Wonder with your Squisito, bro. There you go. Get the whole Italian package. But yes, Twitter is at Chipmunks Mikey. And that's it.
Cool. Okay.
But what's your X username or handle?
Oh yeah, sorry, I said Twitter. My X username is at Chipmunks Mikey.
Well, you've got your YouTube page too. Do you want to shout that out or?
Wow, how did she forgot?
I mean, you can plug anything, man. You've got your YouTube. You and I are both writers for a Noob Feed, and
you know what? Fine, we'll do the kit and caboodle.
Do everything, man.
Yeah, of course. That's the thing. That's why you're here.
I work for Noob Feed and Games Creed, and Simon also works for Noob Feed and Games Creed now, so you can find our articles there. I do game reviews for both sites, mainly Noob Feed. But on Games Creed, I did do Mario Wonder recently and Sonic Superstars, so go check that out. And the new Avatar game was awful, so you can read my review there
for
too.
that.
Yeah. Last Airbender. Sorry, not Blue People.
Yeah.
No, okay, yeah.
But,
Not blue people.
not Blue People. Yeah. But YouTube is Mikey Chipmunks. I go by Mikey Chipmunks, but the @name on X is @Chipmunks Mikey. Mikey Chipmunks on YouTube. You can find me doing videos. I like to talk about a lot of retro content since I don't really have the medium to do that professionally yet. But yeah, I like shining awareness on some older gems, just games that I love pretty much. I'm going to be making an episode about Spider-Man PS1 that's still in the works. So that will come out at some point.
Yeah, I'm looking
By
forward
the way,
to that
speaking
one.
of hidden gems, have you ever heard of the GameCube game Eternal Darkness?
Oh my god, I don't think that's
that is a sore spot for me. It's a sore spot.
It's quite the hidden gem.
I had to sell it. I had to sell it. That's a horrible topic, man, because when I moved out into my apartment, my first apartment, I sold Luigi's Mansion, 1,000 Year Door. I gotta go down the list. It's awful. Gale of Darkness, Eternal Darkness is awful, man. That just brought up a really sore spot.
It makes you feel any better. Yeah.
I mean, but Eternal Darkness is great. It sucks I had to sell it, but I'll get it back one day.
Yeah, I mean, Noah, you had to sell, or you didn't have to, but you did sell Path of Radiance. That's your sore spot.
Ooh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, dumb. We did ours when we were dumb kids, but yeah. So that makes the podcast. I'm gonna play our outro song that I talked about how much I liked. Thank you to Pecan Pie on Upbeat for our intro and outro song, which is what's playing right now. If you like this episode, please give us a rating and review and a follow so more people can find us and check us out. That's kind of what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to grow a little bit. You can find this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, as well as all of our previous episodes, so you can figure out what other games have made our top 100 list. Like Mike said, you can find me on Noob Feed. I don't have a whole lot up there. I wrote kind of a feature about Xbox, and I'll have a review coming up pretty soon. You can also find me on Twitch at Smesty, and we will see you all next week. We might not see you next week. I have to drive to LA, so we'll see. I might try to do it Saturday. Mike, it was a pleasure having you on. You're always welcome.
Thanks for having me.
If you are free next week and you want to join, you're always welcome. I don't know what game we're going to do next week if we do one. If we don't do one, I think we're going to do Call of Duty the week after. So that's where we're at. Thanks again for checking us out, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.